Hello and welcome back to the Movie Memo Recaps. Today we are going to recap a 2014 movie titled 3 Days to Kill. Please be advised that there might be spoilers ahead. The movie begins at the CIA headquarters in Langley. Agent Vivi DeLay talks with the CIA director and another man discussing their target, Wolfgang Braun, and the act of the wolf. The man and his Albanian colleague are attempting to sell weaponry to terrorists. The men assign Vivi to eliminate both of them. She inquires about the agent they have on the ground. His name is Ethan Renner. We are introduced to Ethan in a Paris hotel, where he and another agent, Yasmin, are preparing to take down the Albanian who is about to make a deal with the Serbians. Ethan has already killed the buyers, and he quickly exchanges briefcases holding secret codes with the albino. He was about to hand them over to other agents in a van when his phone rang to remind him that it was his daughter Zoe's birthday. He hurries to a payphone and uses his watch as collateral to acquire change from a neighboring vendor. He calls Zoe but receives a voicemail. Yasmin's cover is jeopardized at the hotel when the albino recognizes her. He carries her to an elevator and waits for it to come down, then decapitates her. His cohorts open fire on the agents in the van, resulting in a gunfight that stretches from the lobby to the outside of the hotel. Ethan chases the albino and kills his troops before pursuing the villain. Ethan becomes weak and dizzy as he catches up to the albino. He falls to the ground and shoots the albino on the leg. He limps away as Ethan goes unconscious. Ethan wakes up in the ICU to a doctor telling him he has cancer that has spread to his lungs. He estimates Ethan has roughly 3 to 5 months before his death. Ethan comes to his apartment to discover that there is a family living there. The father, Jules, enthusiastically welcomes Ethan back, explaining that they are refugees looking for a new home. He goes to complain about it, but is told that if he forces the family to leave, he will face arrest. Ethan returns and draws his gun in front of Jules, but eventually relents and says he can stay until his eldest daughter gives birth to her child. Ethan calls his ex-wife, Tina, who is meeting up with pals. She is hesitant to meet with him until he insists it is important that they do. They go together to sign his will, and he informs her that he is dying and does not want Zoe to know. He wants to meet with her, but Tina says only if he is officially done working for the CIA. Ethan says, yes. They meet Zoe at her school. Her reunion with her father is unpleasant, and she doesn't seem interested in chatting with him. Shortly, an attractive older boy approaches Zoe, and she introduces him as Hugh. He is nice to Ethan when she introduces them, but he is naturally unsure. Hugh departs, and Ethan gifts Zoe with a purple bike, assuming it is still her favorite color. She opts to take the metro with her pals, leaving Ethan to ride his bike alone. Later, Ethan arrives at a booth and is greeted by Vivi. She mentions Zoe's name and shows him his watch, which he dropped near the hotel. She convinces him to ride with her and tells him to work for her. He declines until she explains that she has an experimental medicine that can save his life. Ethan reconsiders, and Vivi informs him that the job is to find and kill the wolf. Vivi leads Ethan to a hotel to meet a man who knows where the albino's accountant is. She assures Ethan there's only one guy in there, but when he breaks into their target's room, he finds 5. When no one provides him any information, he and Vivi slaughter everyone. In the elevator, Ethan tells her that he will only finish the assignment if he is paid $50,000 and a $1 million life insurance policy. She agrees and gives him a shot of the medication. On the other hand, the albino meets with a man and gives him a photo of Ethan to eliminate him. Ethan visits Zoe and Tina's apartment and hears Zoe cry. He breaks the doorknob and rushes in, believing she is in danger, only to discover she is outraged about a lousy haircut. Tina is upset with Ethan since he promised to cook dinner but is 3 hours late. She is leaving for London the next day on business and plans to hire a sitter for Zoe, but Ethan insists on taking care of her. Later, Ethan becomes dizzy and faints. He calls Vivi and tells her he is hallucinating. She tells him to sip vodka to calm down. He does just that. Tina leaves the next day, and Zoe enters wearing a red wig. She notices Vivi calling Ethan's phone, so he tells her it's her employer. She adds a customized ringtone on her number when she holds Ethan's phone. Ethan attempts again to persuade Zoe to ride the bike to school, but she walks and drops the wig. Ethan encounters Vivi again. She hands him the check that she promised him and advises him to keep his heart rate low. She directs Ethan to look for a car salesman named Minute Yilmaz. Ethan walks to the dealership, insults the employees, and shoots them dead before waiting in Minute's office until he comes. Ethan threatens Minute's family and brings him back to his apartment until he receives a call from Zoe's school, pushing him to talk with the principal. He takes Minute with him and stuffs him into the trunk. Ethan and Zoe meet with the principal. He discovers that Zoe hit another classmate. He tries to defend her, which upsets the principal, who sees it as inciting violence. As they leave, Zoe tells Ethan that the girl was mocking her friend from Pakistan. Ethan assures her that he is not upset and that it is an efficient approach to getting rid of a bully. Minute starts making a commotion in the trunk, prompting Ethan to hit him and tell him to quiet up. Zoe leaves him, upset by his behavior and incessant coughing. However, she subsequently calls him back to apologize and invites him to meet her at her favorite location, a little theme park where her favorite ride is the flying chairs. Although Ethan originally intends to continue his quest for the accountant, he departs to meet with Zoe. They go for the ride and then have hot chocolate. She tells him she needs to go study with her lab colleague. Ethan walks to the store and is ambushed by a man with a shotgun. He blasts Ethan, but he emerges unscathed. He was most likely wearing an armor vest, and they fought. The man almost kills Ethan by stabbing him in the neck, but he is shot and killed. Ethan then notices that the man is clutching a photograph of himself. Ethan returns home to find a note on Zoe's computer from a friend stating that she will meet her at the tattoo gallery. Concerned, Ethan rushes to this location and discovers a car with Zoe's bag inside. He breaks in and discovers a flyer from a location named Spider. He visits Minute's house and asks the man's twin children what Spider is. They tell him it is a safari house. Ethan walks to Spider, a nightclub, and notices Zoe drinking with pals. He begins to feel dizzy again and takes a drink of vodka to calm down. He follows Zoe near the bathroom and notices 3 guys pestering her. Ethan is held back by one of the boys, but he turns to a beast mode and hits them ruthlessly before rescuing Zoe. Zoe awakens the next morning with no recollection of the previous night. She is still in her dress and is about to leave for school when Ethan advises her not to. He insists on her riding the bike to school, but she tells him angrily that he never trained her to ride. He spends the morning instructing her, getting praise from the audience. Zoe later asks him, tearfully, why he has been absent for so long. She believes he has another family and another daughter, but he tells her that this is not the case. As they continue to hang out, Zoe admits to striking the girl at school because she was mocking Hugh. They end up meeting Hugh, who is going to take Zoe to school. Ethan discovers the accountant, Guido, as he is led through the streets. Ethan fires a tear gas grenade into the car and captures Guido before blowing up the van. He takes Guido to his flat to swap the briefcase for the codes he had before, which are set to detonate explosives that the wolf and albino have. Zoe calls to inform Ethan that she will be cooking dinner for Hugh and would like to prepare a vegetarian dish. Ethan approaches Guido to tell Zoe about his mother's sauce recipe. That evening, Ethan returns home to discover that Jules' daughter is in labor. She gives birth to a healthy baby girl and names her after Ethan, who allowed them to stay in his home. Jules says they have to leave as promised, but Ethan argues they can stay as long as they want. Jules says the family wants a smaller home so they can be closer together. When Ethan returns to Zoe's house, he discovers that Hugh has invited her to prom, but she refuses since she cannot dance. Ethan agrees to help her out just as Tina returns home. She gets emotional as she watches them dance. They eat dinner as a family, and Tina later advises Ethan that he should tell Zoe about his condition sooner or later. They end up sleeping together. The next morning, Vivi calls Ethan to inform him that the albino is staying at the Grand Hotel. Ethan heads there and sees the wolf. The crooks get into a car driven by Minute and chases them down, banging into the car until he pushes them all over a footbridge. The wolf and albino flee, and Ethan saves Minute so he may rejoin his family. Ethan chases the crooks into the subway, where he develops a nosebleed and begins to feel disoriented. Before he can kill the wolf, the albino takes the barely awake Ethan to the train tracks. He waits for the train to arrive while the wolf yells at him to kill Ethan. Ethan regains consciousness to propel the albino in front of the train just as it passes. He passes out, and the wolf flees. He awakens to see Vivi carried him into her home. She warns him about the wolf's escape but informs him that the results of his experiment with the medicine were positive. Ethan, Zoe, and Tina go to meet Hugh and his family. Hugh's father introduces him to his business partner, the wolf. They recognize each other and can easily shake hands. Hugh's parents lead them all into a club. Tina ultimately understands Ethan is working on an assignment. She suspects he's been lying to her, but he tells her that he has not. The wolf's men shoot at Ethan, who chases them. He kills the thugs before trapping the wolf in an elevator. He shoots the cables on the elevator, causing it to tumble and crash to the ground. The wolf climbs out of the elevator, and Ethan discovers him. He feels weak again, unable to shoot him. He drops the gun, which the wolf reaches for until Vivi enters and pushes it to Ethan to finish the job. He refuses and drops the gun after remembering Tina and Zoe. Vivi takes it and shoots the wolf. Some time later, Ethan is still living with Zoe at a house near the ocean. He's preparing for Christmas, and we hear him chatting to Tina about how there have been tough days, but they're still trying to keep their relationship healthy. Tina arrives shortly, and Ethan admits to her that he has not always been there for her and Zoe as he should have been. Zoe comes up to ask her mother, and so Ethan can prepare them hot chocolate. Tina and Zoe sit together, while Ethan moves into another room. She asks her mother whether Ethan will stay for now. Meanwhile, Ethan discovers a box containing a syringe and a note from Vivi wishing him Merry Christmas. She gave him the medicine so he could continue to spend time with his family. In the final scene, Vivi stands at a distance, watching the family at home. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.